3, 2, 1.
You're now watching two old farts making noises. Welcome to Canadian Art Today with your host, Paul Constable.
And we are back. Hey, there you are, Paul. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Love technologies.
Oh, wait till David comes back, then he can fix it all.
Yeah, that won't be too a couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, a couple of weeks. The time will change. David will be back, and he'll complain about that. It's what he does.
Well, it's got to get up, just before his bedtime.
I was just gonna say it's like 4 in the afternoon. He goes to bed at 5, so we gotta do what we gotta do. You know how the old people are. So anyway, well, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, had a bit of a break.
I know. And today you have a landsman on, so I'm very excited. So that'll be good. For everybody that doesn't know what that means he's a Jewish person. So calm down. So you have a landsman, which is good, and then he does remarkable work. And I'm gonna give a short little bio, and then I'm gonna disappear and let them come and show their work.
He's an amazing glass artist. Him and his wife Pam, and it's Oded and Pam Ravek. Amazing work. I've known their work for many years, and his work there's a real, I guess, a love that's kind of like a thread that goes through all of his work. Very bright, colorful pieces, and yet he's gone through I guess it's very personal pieces of work that we're going to talk about as well. And I'm going to leave it as simple as that. I think.
All right. Well, let's bring them in.
Bring Oded and Pam in here.
And as long as they didn't touch their camera again, we're good. So let's hope. And there they are. They didn't touch their camera. That's perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining, Paul. I'm going to disappear because I know nothing about art. To me, it's just all pretty. And Paul can talk to you about all the textures and moves, and I would be just like, oh, pretty colors. So we'll see you towards the end of the show. Have a great interview. We'll talk to you guys later. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi. Very well, thanks.
Yeah, well, this is what a great opportunity. I mean, we've been trying to get this conversation for 6 months. I've been trying to get you guys queued together. It's great to see your studio in the background. People love seeing that. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it was like I followed your work for many years. You've been members of Artists in Canada and I appreciate that, for many years. And I think I'm just kind of wow. I get to see some of your work, and I've been through your Instagram, which is amazing, and let people understand that what we don't show here. I mean, it's a little smattering, basically, of what kind of work that you've done, and I had to cull it down to about 10 pieces, which is really hard when you've been a fairly prolific artist for all these years, and the two of you and your love shows up in your work. I mean, I really appreciate that part of what you do. And I think in the beginning here, I got a few questions, but just to keep us on track a little bit. But what kind of led you to being glass artists? Like, where did this come from?
This is a good question. As far as I can remember, from a young age, I always enjoyed art and doodling and art. But life changes things, and Pam and I were in the desktop publishing business and illustration, which is one of my loves, to illustrate and doodle. We have 3 kids. Our eldest child. It's a very long story, but she has chronic pain, and that set us the whole family into a tailspin. And really, the one thing that she did suggest to us through the years of taking care of her is, Mom, Dad, why don't you take some course that you would enjoy? Just a couple of hours to do something else. And basically, Pam and I always loved glass, so we took stained glass at the high school once a week, and we found ourselves, it was like a it was the best medicine. What can I say?
Yeah.
And you know, we love the sentence about glass, that it takes you from darkness to light. And when you put a piece of glass in the light, it has a life of its own. So basically, you know, it's not something that we planned on, and we loved it so much. And like I said, it was like medicine to us. And we started going to little high school shows, and that's how we started. And yeah.
So you switched over, you switched over completely to just doing glass.
We switched, yeah, that's right.
Well, that's a major, it's a major thing to do, because you create your own personal studio space, and you're really having, because glasswork is unique. You have to have an area that you design in, and of course the kiln. I will go through a bit of that, the processes a little bit. So I found that your work's very illustrative. Like it's very it feels spontaneous, that you build a shape, and then you find the color in the glass, and you just build it by hand by adding shards of glass into place. Can you tell us a little bit about where the ideas come from for what you're doing?
It's yeah, it's you know, it's I guess to simplify it, I usually have ideas while I sleep and in dreams, and I, when I walk, when I see things, it all goes up here, and I think I describe my art like a jazz player. You know, I have an idea, and I just love the mystery, and I don't illustrate, I don't you know, make sketches. I just like to work from mind to cutter and pliers, and start building what I have in my mind. So
excuse me, I'm going to get Stephen to put up the first image here. There we go. There's you in a very meditative position, thinking about, and I really like this shot. I mean, it's not depicting any one piece, but it's really, there's a connection between you and the art that you've created. I mean, most of us, like, I'll paint, and I'll put paintings up on the wall, and I'll look at them. So, and this one's kind of nice. You see these pieces of glass laying on the table, and they're beautiful pieces. We'll get into some of these pieces in a bit. So where do some of these pieces get installed? Like, these are fairly free formed, right? The shapes are not squared up, but where would somebody put a piece of this work? How do you present that piece of work?
So some of them they can be specifically for hanging on the wall. Some of them we use some bases, so it's like a sculptural piece. So there's various ways to display them.
Okay.
These are sculptures.
Yeah. So what in the pictures, what you see are just I guess images that they came out of the kiln. So you see the artwork itself, but I can show you a little sample. This is the type of sculpture that after it comes out from the kiln, we'll place it on a wood base, and then you know, it can be showcased like that, and of course placed anywhere in the home. You know, where you like a burst of color.
Yeah. So now you've got I see a lot of your work is very, like, it has soft edges and rounded, and there's a I guess a organic feeling about them. You know, the female form is probably a dominant shape in what you're working in, and I love the faces. There's the love between the two, right? There's the male female feeling, and they're almost I guess a face, or they are a mask in nature, I guess.
They're celebrating the female form, but it's really about you know, female empowerment and getting myself into a corner. Go ahead.
Well, the thought that I had is that what intrigues me is that the way I'm able to in the pictures, I guess it's to my right, that I'm able to express in a very I would think simple and primitive way, almost like a child drawing. If you had to draw those, it takes 5 minutes, right? But I like to express more emotion in the simplicity of the cuts and the closeness. It reminds me of home and the closeness of our family, with my mom and dad, sister and cousins. So I really love to portray that closeness in a very simple form. The viewer kind of getting that. But yet it's not, when you look at it, at least in my mind, it's not complex imagery, like the eye is a very simple eye, the mouth is very simple, but still it gives me a lot of pleasure to do these kind of images. And yes, I do tend to go to a female form because we always educated and told our daughters, that they can go for everything and achieve anything. So it's kind of a way that, well, not in a more simple way, like a nod to them and to women, but
they're very, very intricate, very complex, very detailed pieces. In the creation.
Yes, those the female forms
in
are more.
contrast
Yes.
to the simplicity of the other sculptures that you have up.
Yeah, yeah. The I guess I'll call it the bodice, the one on the left. I think there's complexity to there, but I just love the coloration between them. There's a kind of a warm and a cool feeling, like that really make those areas. I guess pop off the page a little bit if you're talking in a two-dimensional man. So this is just a single sheet. So do you have a base that you lay down first, like clear glass, and then put stuff on top of it?
Yeah. So typically I would start with a we'll start with a clear glass. That's like our canvas, and then from there we will start. Building up the layers. So we work in layers, right? So the more the more layers you add on to the artwork, it has that more of a 3D feel to it and more intricate, because the image on to my left, it involves cutting sometimes hundreds and thousands of little pieces that I have to take with tweezers to place them, and so it's a play because each layer adds to it, and you don't want to detract from other layers. So it's a kind of a harmony, or we try to achieve that harmony between the colors and to get that 3D effect. So that's what takes time.
So do you have to fire in between some of this a little bit, like?
Well, we do it in one firing.
So all these little shards are loose, or do you have?
They're loose, yes, and yeah. So it's but because it's only between us, so I'll tell you a little secret. What we use, because there's hundreds and hundreds of pieces, so I found out that using non perfume hairspray, non-aerosol hairspray, and non-perfume, because I can't stand the smell. And then we have a little bottle that we use, and then I put a little droplet, and that seems to hold the pieces, delicately, but in place.
And it burns off later.
And it burns off. That's right.
Yeah, ideal. No, that's
yeah. Because some of them are as you can see, there's many moving parts.
I went through a bunch of these. I mean, you've made quite a few on your Instagram, and I love this bodice piece for it's simple, but it's not simple. There's huge complexity in this piece, but I'm not barraged by a large amount of color, but I love the minimalist color aspect. But the faces really came to mind here, and we'll get into some of the reasoning. But I think 3 is one of your magic numbers, and we'll talk about what 3 means here shortly. That's very significant. And I love these. I mean, they're faces in strategic positions, but I do. There's something magical about this piece, and I think it's the gray value and the clear glass value that's makes the other colors just they're just kind of kissed with just a nice little, just the right amount of color, and it gives a kind of a 3-dimensional feel when you know, with all the line work, and then the colors are kind of to the outside, so your eye wants to kind of go around and just hold that body. It's a nice piece. I don't know how large this piece is, but
it's over around 2 feet in height.
A bit over 2 feet.
Yeah.
Wow. So how big is your kiln that you have to be able to handle this?
So we're able to put the most in the kiln. We're able to put up to 33 inches.
Okay.
In height by about I would say up to pushing it about 19, 20 inch.
Yeah.
That in width. That's the limit.
So then, if you're doing multi-panels for a large installation, you could just do them in sections.
Yeah, in segments. Yes.
Which we have done.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So did some of
this piece is, to me, also, you know, symbolically as a shield and representing, you know, to some extent, the armor that we put on to face the world each day. So I think it's about power as well, shielding oneself, creating the outside to face the world. And
yeah, well, I think glass allows you that. Like I said, it holds light and it's magic. I think it's manipulative. You could manipulate it into the shapes you want. Yet when you get it, it's a sharp. It can cut you. So you're working 2 ways. You're working with an element that can destroy you, and you create a beautiful product from it. Like that's the beauty comes out of that.
We always have Band-Aids available very close by.
But you're right, it has that rigidity, it has the denseness, the harshness and brittleness. You learn to work with it, and you go with the flow that sometimes it wants to take you in a different direction. So it's very compelling.
Yeah. No, I think artists need to do that. They need to listen to what the material tells them a lot of times. They need to, rather than trying to force it to do something, that's when stuff doesn't happen the way you want it. But learning that have you found magic accidents that just found their way into your work?
Oh, when you say to work with glass, it's magic all the way. Sometimes more magic, sometimes less.
So I have friends who are potters, and they just kind of hold their breath while they're taking stuff out of the kiln. And
that's right.
We talk about praying to the kiln gods, you know.
So yeah, because you just never know, and it's just how you load it, and too much or not enough, and if the airflow isn't going. So you use electric kiln on this or gas?
Yes, the electric kilns. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's controllable in a residential situation, electric, and it does the job if you don't need to.
Sorry about that.
So we're going to move into a couple of. Can you tell us a little bit about? Okay, so we talked about 3 and some of these pieces. So this is a bit more serious piece, and glass allows you mystery. I found this, it can really add to, there's a story, a horrific story here, but can you walk us through some of this, Oded, a little bit about the making of this piece and what
Yes.
what it means to you?
Well, it really, I think if there's a few pieces that really, are significant and took a lot of my energy and heart and, that I poured into this particular piece. It's called Three Sisters, and
It's called The Miracle.
The Miracle.
Of the Three Sisters,
Oh, yeah.
to be precise. Yes.
So this particular work was to honor my mom and her two sisters who miraculously survived the Auschwitz-Birkenau. It's a long and sad story, but really what I try to with Pam to portray in this art, and again, this is a vision that I had at night, and that vision was of it's based on the Inukshuk. And when I was reading, this is what I had in my mind. And then when I read about the Inukshuk and the difficulties and the purpose of it, which I didn't know before, and the way you form it as a teamwork, and how it helps groups of people that are up north, and if the weather is really bad, the Inukshuk points the way to the hunting grounds, and in order to build it, you need to work together. So I'm not sure if you see it in the piece, but it's made from 3 pillars, and there's a opening at the top part, a void. And that really represents to me that Inukshuk that points, to where you need to go. And in turn, this kind of unity, I was thinking of my mom and my 2 aunts, how they had to be together, support one another, and miraculously made it. So the Star of David on top is comprised of 3 pieces, of course. And when you look at a certain angle, like in this picture, you see the Star of David. But basically, it's 3 triangles that are on top. The base of it is there's a bottom base that it's probably difficult to see because it's all clear glass, and we created a fair amount of roses. Some of them are open, some of them are just buds, and that's to signify, the murder of innocent, children, women. So we have those roses in various stages of the development of the flower. The base that's on top of it has the numbers that my mom has on her arm and my 2 aunts. And actually, I'll share something personal. To never forget, I tattooed my mom's number on my arm as well, to never forget. So yeah, this took a few months to think and to create, but we are very proud of it, and it was, I think, 7 artists that were chosen from across Canada to interpret. I think the show was called Light After Darkness. The interpretation after World War II.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So,
it was exhibited at the Clay and Glass Gallery in Waterloo, Ontario, and held over for an extended period because there was such positive response, especially with groups of young adults and high school kids, and so on. Yes.
I think sculptures in glass is it's a magic. It's a magic, like you said, it's a magic thing. I think it's something different than if you made it out of concrete or plastics or other things, right? These are transparent, but it can also give you an uplifting feel just with the glass alone. It's really hard to light and shoot pictures of it. Like
yes,
That's
yes,
totally
it is so difficult.
but
But
people,
when you know, we have what's amazing is we have people call us, you know, and wanting to see this art for themselves, and they come to our studio gallery to take a look at it, because it's, you know, it's a different feel when you see it. And the difficulty, like you said, it's transparent, is to really to convey the message that I felt and Pam felt in clear glass, right? You could easily add color, you know, to convey the message, but you know, I was really strict, you know, in terms of the artwork, that we have to convey it in totally clear glass. That's it.
so is this a green glass or is it actually a clear glass?
It has a tint of like a little bluish, a little green, but like you mentioned, it's a bit difficult to shoot.
Yeah.
So
that's how it comes off.
Yeah.
But actually, we only used iridescence in the 3 triangles that form the Magen David, the Star of David at the top. You know, purposefully with intention, because that is where any type of color would symbolically be.
Yeah. It's the only piece that we polished, those 3 triangles, as opposed to the rest of the work, which is kind of raw.
Yeah. No, I put that little inset in there just so people can see a little closer up as to the etching and the things that are done in there.
Yeah, and definitely clear glass is, I think, more challenging to.
It is, yeah. So that leads into this piece. And this one really very different than the previous one that we just talked about with 3 sisters. You told me a little bit about this story, and I'm going, well, so this would be like the second piece that you probably made. Can you?
Yes, with over 10 years of art, in fact.
Yeah, I've done other pieces relating to that, but I do it. I go between darkness and light, let's say, which is quite accurate. This particular piece, and you know, we need probably more time to tell you, because the story of how the book was published is also a story. But the work that I've created with Pam.
This is called From the Ashes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just saying, it's called From the Ashes, Rebirth.
So,
yes.
So I've said before, this is really after Heather Morris. She's the, and after I read her book, these are the visions that I thought kind of capture what happened to my 2 aunts and my mom. So really, it was difficult to work on it, and almost like torturous, right? Because I'm creating a kind of a railway leading to an oven, and I'm not sure if you see, but I've cut patiently hundreds of footprints, shoe prints, large and small, leading towards that oven.
In the bottom third of the
and then of course their emergence, you know, managing to dodge you know, hell on earth, Auschwitz-Birkenau, and almost like a rebirth, right? Like the phoenix, against all odds they rose and really started a new life in the promised land.
So the sense of hope.
Yeah, I try to kind of balance the horror at the 2/3 of the piece, or maybe halfway, and the top part is of course the blue skies with the rainbow and 3 doves that represent my aunt and my mom, and there's a little, you know, I added a few like houses that remind me of Jerusalem, and you know, so that's really where they started and built a new life, and the book Three Sisters kind of I did it in you know, we did it in glass, but the book pretty much, at least for my interpretation, shows you visually their journey from hell to, you know, to Israel and a new life and to hope, right?
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell. But this was a draining piece, and it took a while to do, but
and actually we presented it very happily to my mother-in-law, my Ima, which means mother in Hebrew, and to Heather Morris, who came to visit Ima. I think
she came especially from Australia to visit my mom.
It was last November for my mother-in-law's 97th birthday.
She'll be 98 soon. And then we unveiled it here, and with family and Heather and my mom, and it was very emotional.
Yeah,
a lot of tears.
Yeah, I can see that. It is very well. The connection is so strong. It's really, but when an artist has this ability to take his skill set and tell the story about the family, it's really important. A lot of us artists, we paint things for other people, we do sculptures for other people, and we do things. But when you take time to do something for yourself and your family, it becomes a different treasured thing. It's something that's not really sold. It's not given away. It's kind of nurtured by the family, and you keep it as a treasure. And I think this is a great keepsake for memory and for your aunts and your mother.
Yeah, actually, we I mean, when we find a bit of time, we really are interested in showcasing these two pieces of art in a gallery, whether it's in Canada or abroad. That's really our intention. So more people. I mean, we love it here in our home, and it's very nice. But I think it's a piece of work that should be out there and for people to see.
To raise some awareness.
Yeah. So those are our intentions.
Well, we can put it out to people from here on our show here that it's available for consideration. But I have one possibly in BC that might be interested as well. So we can talk about that later.
Sure.
Okay.
So we talked about the three element, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a beautiful little piece here, and it feels like it's almost just in front of it almost feels like an ornament that you would hang the tree. But I'm assuming these are the three sisters, correct?
Well, actually, we have three kids, so
yes. So three again is the number, right?
Yeah. So you know, it's just a quick little story. We created. We have a big half moon window in the studio, and you know, our three kids left the nest. So part of the scene is three sailboats that are leaving land, and they're all going, you know, to find new adventures and a new life for themselves. So we depict. Usually, we try to put three things, and it would be about our kids.
Ah, lovely.
Like this sculpture is
so this
here,
little
actually.
sculpture, yes.
Yeah.
And this is like I love. You know, this is also a nice, playful piece where I like to combine stainless steel wire and glass. So it's fun, and you know, it's always good to experiment. You know, and before when you said you know that we said that we pray to the kiln gods, these are one of the times that we sometimes pray.
Oh, we get a broke up a bit there. Wait here a minute there.
Are you with us, Paul? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
we're still here. You guys.
Oh, okay. Okay, I wasn't sure. Your
the
picture,
screen was-
Yeah, we
went
lost you there
blank.
for a minute in
Yeah.
your audio. Yeah, you never know. These situations happen from time to time. We'll move along here a little bit. So, yeah, these are more derivative of nature and things, but I just love that. I guess I just love the feeling of this thing. It's like a painting, but in glass. And I thought the transparency is there, and there's the joy of these. I guess they are poppies, possibly, or flowers. Can you talk about this process a little bit, about the meaning of, like, I think nature is embedded in what you do. I think the love of nature as well.
And it has when I see this particular piece, it gives joy to me, because it reminds me of my childhood. And for many years over the holidays, I used to help with my cousins on a farm, and they had nature trails, and there were fields of poppies or some other wild flowers. And whether I would go myself as a kid, I would lie there on the grass between the flowers and look at the sky. So it always, this brings me back, and maybe makes me hungry.
Yeah. No, I know, and it's like, where do your ideas come from? And I love it. That's sort of like drawing from your memory rather than drawing from what you see in front of you. You draw what you think you saw and what you remember. And I think that's when real art happens, is when you pull back from your mind and your memory, and you transfer it into the medium that you work in. And I love hearing the backstory on that. And I said, and I can see that. I can see, as a kid, I laid in the grass too. I don't know if I laid in the flower beds, but I did like really looking up trees, like the tree and how they all kind of fanned out against the sky. And sometimes you'd lay there and look at the clouds and see if
That's right. It was like precious moments, where time, like, what's nice in these pieces of art is that you almost capture a time period, right? And it can be taken away. It takes me back, and I remember those, where it's just the right amount of sun. You hear birds in the background. It's like a perfect moment, and then to be able to capture that feeling in glass, I have a smile on my face.
Yeah.
So
get a
the other smile.
So I guess you create bodies of work a little bit. This one I found, and I guess there was something based on oceans and water, and this was a response that you did. This is just one of a number of pieces. Again, you can look at Instagram and look at Oded's work there, but it's I just love this etched feeling, the wave that's sitting there. Like, it's like a wall. I could see this thing being 10 feet high. It would be lovely. It's like a maquette, right? This one is like a little.
Yes. With this, you can really go wild.
Yeah. But can you tell us a little bit about? I guess there's a whale in there, and there's a couple of different.
It's it's really what my mind tells my hand to do. So sometimes I'm not in control, I just do it. But what my mind sends signals to my hand and the cutter, and that's the way I do it. I like to, with these, why I enjoy it so much, and I get up in the morning and is thrilled to see my trusted cutter and pliers, and I just start cutting, and I'll have the main image. So yes, it could be a whale, of course, or some sea creature, but I really let the mind rule, and let it flow. So I just love that type of work. And of course, the water and the sea represent so much to by the way, so no one will hear, I proposed to Pam by the beach. So it holds a significant
it's a place in our hearts.
Yes, a place in our hearts. But when no matter how stressed you are, you don't need to go to therapy. I suggest to everyone, just walk on the beach, take your sandals or shoes off. When you feel that sand underneath, you hear the waves, you smell the ocean, the sea, the salt. I mean, that's a therapy session for me. So I try to capture all that and let it loose on glass.
Yeah, you can't quite do that right now and walking along the river in Canada.
No, no, not quite.
You'll be awake, but I think maybe. I love this joyous piece here, and I threw in a few little. I think there's some ornaments there on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah, these just feel so festive, and they feel.
Yes, yes. They're called Hamsa. Each one of them, and each Hamsa means like it's the five fingers or a hand, and each one of them, to be proper, you need to have an eye. Each one has an eye in them, and
it represents the divine's presence, and it is something. The Hamsa is something that is, whether it's called Hamsa or Hamsa, it predates the Bible, and that as an amulet spread across from areas like India and all across the Middle East and around the world, of course, since then.
Yeah, it's very popular, and a lot of people
across all religions.
Yeah, and they collect them, and some say it's to protect the home. It's good to put a Hamsa in the home. So we joke around that it's better than an alarm system. You get one of those Hamsa, it's not connected to electricity, and it will protect you.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to bestow on the owner and on the visitors who come to the home or business wealth and abundance and good health and good fortune. So it's only positive. So
are they used as gifts? You gift?
Yeah. It's a nice little gift. Yeah.
It's also seen as a gift for, say, you have a client who's a real estate agent who likes to give them to people who purchase new homes from him.
Yeah.
So
he gives them away.
Yeah. Well, we come to the final part. I just love this piece with it. It's huge. It's long piece. You standing in the background behind it, just for scale to the people. The reclined figure in the foreground on this, and it's a real menagerie of that flowers, like you said. You're laying in these flowers.
Yes, I have very strong memories of nature in that way, and
yeah. So that's Pam in the grass, is it? Yeah.
And a few friends.
It's a happy day.
I didn't know who is your model. I don't know. That's so cute. And again, we have this bodice to the right, which is another version of the ones that you do. So is a common factor, a common shape that you go back to regularly, and you?
Yes, I do, and some of them, if you notice, because I love the shape of the wave, I will use in other work, even though it's not blue or clear, or of course you won't notice that it's a wave. To me, it represents the shape of a wave. And then I'll put them in various artwork, even though it has nothing to do with the water. But I do love, it's just such a pleasant feeling when you cut glass in that particular shape of a wave. It's something that I enjoy doing. So I try to incorporate it wherever I can.
I don't like that when that happens when I'm cutting glass for my framing.
Yeah. Yes.
Very well in my brain when that happens. The little end. Well, that it's a little short interview. We had talk here today, but we do have a shortened program. But I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to talk with me, and Stephen's
always
yeah.
Stephen's
it was wonderful.
Questions for you.
I always have questions. So if you've ever watched his interview, and since we're Landsmen, you know the question. You should already answer it before I ask. So if I want to buy any of your art, what's it range from X to Z?
Well, it can reach from around the $200 mark and above to several thousand, depending on the project.
All right.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's perfect.
Maybe you'll
And
get
this
the
was-
family price, Steve.
I was going to say, well, that we talk off there. We don't talk family
That's
price in
right.
front of the
That's right.
Gentiles.
Speaking of Landsman, I'll just tell you also, since Lodi has told you a few secrets, I'll tell you one too. We were just asked to participate in a book that a woman is researching for the Alex Dworkin Foundation Jewish Archives in Montreal. And so it's a book that covers synagogue art over the last 100 years in Canada.
Very nice.
And so one of our
we did
full-scale,
a fairly large installation. I think it was 10 feet by either 13 or 14 feet in one of the oldest synagogues in Kingston. So
Very
so
nice. Well, your work is beautiful. So I
Thank
mean,
you.
all of it, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm glad
Thank
Paul
you.
got to describe it more than I would have, but absolutely beautiful. As you do more stuff, and if you want to come back, please let Paul know. We'd love to have you back. But your stuff was absolutely gorgeous. And we thank you for your time, and even
Thank
though
you.
with
We'll
technical
stay in touch.
difficulties. So yes, please. Your stuff was beautiful. Once again, kudos. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
A
Thank
lot
you
of
very
good
much.
memories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on for a little bit here, and
Now we say goodbye to everybody. Don't forget, everybody, to subscribe and like. Tell your friends. All the links are below. We'll see everybody next week. Cheers.